Hey guys, this is a relatively short and unscripted video on my side panel mod to the Fractal Design Define Mini CTG. I don't normally make these videos, so you're gonna have to bear with really shitty commentary. But yeah, I thought I'd show you anyway. So, if you don't know, this case is a Micro-ATX case, which I believe is the first of its kind for a side panel to be modded onto, or a side panel LCD to be modded onto. And in it, right now, it's just a 1700X and a RTX 2070. This build's a little bit old now. I was going to make this a while ago, but, well, we're doing it now. So, overall, I'm really happy with how the mod turned out. It's super clean. There's a little bit of light bleed I need to fix, but that should be pretty easy. Yeah, anyway, I thought I'd just show you and give you some insight on how I did this. So here I have one of my first versions. And as you can see, this is the side panel. Right, it's just a piece of tempered glass, and what I did was I went ahead and masked off all the areas around it with solid vinyl. I do not recommend carbon fiber. It does show a lot of light through it. I recommend putting like 2 layers so that you don't get the light bleed issues that I have. And then you go ahead and you just put on the super bright LED strips all the way around, including here. And then this is where the ribbon cables go for this LCD. And then just has like a little controller board to it. And then here is where this connects to the actual like LCD controller. And I mount this inside the case. So this is mounted with some, focus. All right, so this is some 3M double-sided mounting tape, but I only took off one side of the tape, so it's, yeah, and I think it works pretty well. I've had no sagging. If I just put 3 on each side right along this lip, so it doesn't actually show on the actual screen. Just 3 here, 3 here, and 3 here, and you can't put any here because you have this thing in the way. And then these LEDs are going to be 12 volts. Yeah, and that's super secure. It's in there. You just got to figure out the spacing on these holes, but other than that, I found this to be a very simple and clean mounting solution. All right, and then we move over to the case. So obviously on this case, I plasti dipped the whole inside of this white. I plasti dipped the front white, and then I put an acrylic piece that was also white as like a false bottom so I can cover up one of these holes. So if you see here, here's the LCD controller. This one's, I printed out a 3D printed kind of like case for it. If you see it, let's see if I can take a snapshot of it. Like right there, right underneath the fan, this white box. Yeah, that's this right there. So this one connects to this area when I mount it, and then this will just sit right in here so you don't see this wire at all. And in my particular case, let me check. So this was a Dell E153 FPB. So this is like a 15-inch 4x3 monitor, I would think. And contrary to Immodernation, this one actually uses 3.3 volts. And the easiest way to get that is to grab a SATA extender and then just use I think the orange wire and the black wire to get that power. Here, I use a single SATA connector for everything. So these ones will be 12 volt for the LEDs, 3.3 volt for the controller, and then 5 volts. 5 volts for what I use to power this, which is actually not being powered by my computer. but it's actually being powered by an Intel compute stick. I'll get to that later. Actually, I'll get to that now. So there's two ways I power this, right? So this is a VGA only monitor. So I just run a VGA cable from here to here. And this is a very cheap USB 3 to VGA display adapter. And this works pretty well. You can buy a USB 3 header, and then you can route this internally. So you don't have any like wires sticking out the back of the case or anything. But the issue is that Windows does not like mixing refresh rates. So I have two 144 Hz monitors here. So whenever I play anything graphical on a 60 Hz display, which is what this Dell TFT panel is, it makes me stutter in all my games. So my solution here is to grab an Intel compute stick, one of the little sticks that can run Windows by themselves, and then you go ahead. Let me see. Right here, remember this? You go ahead, pull 5 volts from this and wire it to a micro USB to power that. And then you just hook up a HDMI to VGA adapter, and then you can wire it internally and power it with its own computer. So I'll do a reboot sequence and you'll see that later. But I do have a build guide on this. Let me see what I need to do. I'll just run through the build guide really quickly. I did have 4 monitors. I destroyed 2 of them, learning how to remove it. You disassemble it. You test it, make sure it works. You can kind of see right here. It is transparent, but I do have an anti-glare coating. Do more testing. Make sure you do hardwire these. I try to use breadboard connectors and I almost started a fire, so don't do that. And for me, if you looked at Modern Nation's videos or One Pixel at a Time's videos, they show them using like a cloth, really damp cloth, to put over the anti-glare, and then eventually after a few hours you're supposed to be able to remove it. So I destroyed my first 2 trying to do that with different towels, different lengths of time, but the adhesive on my monitor was just ridiculous. So I actually just dipped the whole thing, and I try to leave the electronics out of it, of course, but I dipped the whole thing in a tray of water and left it there for like 12 to 24 hours. It's been a while, I don't remember. And then you slowly peel it off. If you want to see this build guide, it's on level 1 text. Anyway, so yeah, we did that. You buy these LED strips. These are like the really cool white ultra bright ones. And you see here, this is hooked up to Molex for this version. This version uses an external one. I rewire it a little bit differently, but this works too. I guess I'll just show you, right? So right here, this connector just happens to match up with one of the cable routing holes here. Right here. So in here is where I would generally route this cable. So that way it's clean, you don't see it. You might be able to see it if you really look. Let me see if I can, this video will let me show you it. I guess not. Okay, whatever. So anyway, as you see, this is my prototype, right? So you take a vinyl, you measure out where you need to put it, and then you make it and you mask it off. And then I'd really recommend you do 2 layers, because right now I have to go back and fix some of the light bleed, because opaque vinyl is not very opaque when you have such bright lights. And then this is the stuff I use to mount the monitor. It's stuff Modern Nation also tried using, I believe. And for me, it actually just works great. I really love this stuff. And you just put them on the edges. You slap on these LEDs. This one's my current build, right? So you can kind of see how white it is. This is the fake acrylic, false bottom. Everything here is plasti dipped, so it's kind of rough around these edges, but you don't really see that when you put it on. I taped up, or I put vinyl over the fan covers because I didn't have the budget for new, just pure white fans. I have these cheap cable extensions from eBay. Here's the LCD controller printed in a white box and mounted. And then you got your connector right here, which connects to the LCD. So overall, you don't see anything here. And everything is just secretly done. You'll route power for the LEDs through here, and then you'll route power and data for the LCD through here. And yeah, so as you see, I've been doing, I did a lot of planning for this one here. Back in December 2017 is when I first got actually this panel tested, disassembled, and working. And then I actually finished this build almost a year ago, around January 20, actually when was this? January 2019, I believe. Let's take a look. Yeah, January 2019. And let me see, is there anything I missed? Yeah, I just wanted to thank Immodernation and One Pixel at a Time for making their videos on how to build it. Gave me some insight when it came to planning. As I stated before, this is the only Micro-ATX case with the side panel LCD mod on it that I've seen, and I thought it was pretty cool. Let's see. The monitor I used was 3.3 volts, not 5 volts, which is really, really weird, but it took me a while to figure that out. I talked about powering the displays with the USB to VGA or the compute stick. All right, so since I have this basically running on a completely different computer, what I use is that I set up Windows to auto log in with no password, and I use TeamViewer instead to go ahead and remote into it. So I just basically remote desktop if I want to change any settings or anything. I might take a look into Chrome's remote desktop because TeamViewer is a little bit bloaty and annoying, but it works for now. And then there's a TeamViewer pop-up killer so that when I close TeamViewer, the pop-up from TeamViewer doesn't stay on the screen. So, because obviously if it stood on the screen, you wouldn't be able to see this. And then let's see, I'm working on this right now, updating some software, so this works. Let me take a look. Yeah, so here I run Windows 10 with Wallpaper Engine. You can go ahead, you can change it to any background you like. And overall, I think it looks pretty good. The lighter ones do look better, and it's not the greatest in color. Oh god, that looks terrible on camera. Give me a sec. Not that so it looks shit. Okay. Yeah, so there's a dark spot. The Chromax on the Noctua NHD15 is like basically right next to this glass. So the light from the strips doesn't really reach down here. I think that's the biggest flaw of the mod in the current state. But in real life, it doesn't look quite as dark. Let's see. Could do like fish, stuff like that. Yeah. So hopefully this gives you guys some insight on how I did mine. And if you have any questions, I guess leave them below. I think this is a great mod for people who want to test their knowledge of modding and electrical skills to some degree, but don't have too much experience. It's a mod where the hard part is figuring out basically how to wire the control board and power it. So it's a bit of a challenge, but overall the process is not too complicated, and I think it's actually pretty accessible by most people. And yeah, I guess that's it. See you guys later.